Let's start with a brutal truth, a gut punch you never saw coming. It's a lesson no one wants to admit out loud, a chilling secret whispered in the halls of power and the shadows of betrayal. Sometimes you don't fall because your enemies are stronger. You fall because you trusted the wrong person. Imagine this. You're at the top of your game. You've worked relentlessly, sacrificed everything, and now you're finally seeing the view from the summit. You look down, and who do you see standing by your side? Not the people who fought against you, not the rivals you defeated, but the ones who stood with you from the very beginning, your friends, the ones who cheered for you, who shared your dreams, who knew your fears. They know you, perhaps better than anyone else, and that is your greatest weakness. You see, we grow up being told that friends are forever, that loyalty is a shield, that love is a fortress. But what if all of that is a lie? What if the very people you rely on for protection are the ones who make you vulnerable? This is the shocking truth that Machiavelli, centuries ago, dared to write about. He warned us that friends do not help you hold power. They make you weak. Now, pause and think about that for a moment. This isn't about being cruel or heartless. It's about being clear-eyed, about seeing the world not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. Friendship, by its very nature, is emotional. It's built on feelings, on attachment, on a shared history. And when power enters the equation, those feelings don't just shift, they shatter. Friends begin to feel entitled. They believe their past loyalty is a currency to be cashed in. They expect a seat at your table, a share of your success, a favor, simply because of who they were to you. And if you don't deliver, they feel betrayed. Not because you wronged them, but because you didn't play the role they had written for you in their own minds. They quietly resent you for growing beyond their expectations. And here's the most terrifying part. They already know where to aim if things go sideways. They've seen you insecure. They've heard your deepest fears. They know the cracks in your armor because you showed them to them willingly. Your enemies, you see them coming. You prepare for their attack. But your friends, they slip past your defenses because you never, not for a single moment, imagined they would ever turn. This is just the beginning of a conversation that will challenge everything you think you know about trust, loyalty, and power. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, or if you've ever wondered why the world feels so cutthroat, then this is for you. To unlock more of these brutal but necessary truths, be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow along. We're only scratching the surface of what lies beneath the smiles and the handshakes. Let's continue this journey into the cold, unromantic calculus of power. We've spoken of the danger of friends. But what about those who once stood against you? The adversaries, the rivals, the people who hated you yesterday and whose every move you had to anticipate. What if they could be your most loyal allies? This isn't some abstract thought experiment. It's a pattern woven through the tapestry of human history. Consider the story of King David, a man who had everything, a kingdom, immense power, and the love of his people. Yet, his greatest threat didn't come from a foreign army or a jealous rival. It came from his own son, Absalom. Absalom was not a stranger. He was family, a part of David's inner circle. He saw his father's every move, knew his vulnerabilities, and had the access to quietly, meticulously build a conspiracy from the inside. Absalom stole the hearts of the people, not by force, but by promises and smooth talk. He waited, he plotted, and when he struck, it was a sudden, devastating blow that sent the king fleeing for his life. David, the warrior who had faced and defeated giants, was undone by the one he trusted most. The blood of betrayal, as they say, runs thicker than water. Now, think about the logic of that. Absalom had no need to prove himself to David. He was already the son, already in a position of privilege. His loyalty was assumed. It was never earned. And what is assumed loyalty but a house built on sand? Let's turn to a different kind of story, a parable of a king with two advisors. One was a friend from his youth, a man he loved and trusted implicitly. The other was a brilliant but ambitious warrior who had once been his fiercest rival in a civil war. The king, being a sentimental man, gave his friend the highest position, a key role in his court. He gave his former rival a lesser, more distant role, a show of mercy and reconciliation. What happened? The friend grew comfortable. He felt entitled. He stopped bringing the king hard truths, stopped working as hard, and began making decisions that served his own interests, assuming the king's love would protect him from any consequence. He grew soft. Meanwhile, the former rival was always on his guard. He was constantly proving himself. He knew he was being watched, that his position wasn't guaranteed by love, but by his usefulness. He worked relentlessly, bringing the king clever solutions, anticipating every potential threat, and acting with a calculated precision that the friend had long since abandoned. He was motivated by the memory of the king's power, a power he had felt firsthand. He feared losing the king's favor because he knew what life outside of it was like. This is the strange, almost paradoxical truth of loyalty. Friends can be loyal when things are easy. But when stakes rise, when envy creeps in, when they feel sidelined, that loyalty turns to resentment. They have no reason to be careful. They assume they can get away with mistakes, or even worse, they believe they can take what they feel they deserve. But an enemy who has chosen to serve you, has everything to lose. They've already felt your strength. They know what happens when they go against you. Their loyalty is never about comfort or nostalgia. It is about a cold, hard fact. It is in their best interest to keep you in power. Their bond is forged not in shared smiles, but in shared knowledge of what is possible and what is at stake. This is a concept that is difficult for most people to grasp because it challenges our most deeply held beliefs. It asks us to look past our emotions and to see the world with a strategic eye. It asks us to question why we trust the people we do and to consider the true source of their allegiance. If you've ever had a relationship, a friendship, that left you feeling drained, or if you've ever felt like your loyalty wasn't reciprocated, then I encourage you to subscribe and follow our journey. And if you have a story of your own where you saw this strange logic at play, I want you to share it in the comments below. Let's learn from each other, because these lessons are the kind that can save you from a great fall. We've explored the quiet danger of trusted friends and the surprising usefulness of former enemies. Now let's bring it all together, because this isn't about being cruel. It's about a calculus, a simple but brutal equation for survival. The modern world may not have emperors or kingdoms, but it has corporations, social structures, and personal ambitions, and the rules remain the same. Consider the story of Steve Jobs, a visionary, a genius who built an empire from a garage, who pushed him out of the very company he founded, not a competitor, not a rival, but John Scully, the CEO he hired himself, the man he trusted, the man he called a friend. The betrayal didn't happen in a field of battle, but in a boardroom. It was subtle. It was quiet. It was done by someone who knew him and saw an opening. The pattern is ancient, and it's everywhere. You see, enemies stab once. They are direct. They are predictable. But friends stab when you are not looking, when your guard is down, when you are celebrating a win, or trusting just a little too much. Because friends know your rhythms, your fears, your past, and if envy creeps in, if they feel overlooked, outshined, or replaced, they don't need a reason to act, just an opening. This is why Machiavelli taught that power is not about who you like, it's about who helps you stay in control. It's not about being loved. It's about being respected, even feared. Being liked makes you replaceable. Being respected makes you untouchable. People protect the one they can't afford to lose, no matter the cost. So, here's the final question to ask yourself. When you look at your circle, your allies, do you see people who have something to prove, or do you see people who already think they are owed? Do you see people who fear losing your favor, or people who assume they already have it? The answers to these questions will reveal everything you need to know about your future. Power requires clarity, and clarity means knowing who truly serves your goals and who quietly expects you to serve theirs. This is not about building a wall around your heart. It's about building a fortress around your mission. A sentimental leader is a vulnerable one, and in this world, vulnerability doesn't attract kindness. It attracts wolves. You can be the good person, the open heart, the one everyone likes and everyone eventually leaves when the pressure hits. Or you can be the one who knows when to be soft and when to be steel. The one who doesn't just survive the game, but quietly, deliberately, masters it. Because in the end, Power doesn't care how kind you are. It only cares if you are still standing when the dust clears. The greatest lesson isn't about friendship or enmity. It's about the truth, that you can be loved or you can last. That's the only question that really matters.